shout out to all the electricians that do this every day, and you work in these ridiculously hot environments. You guys earn your money, that's for sure. I respect the heck out of you a lot more. Not that I didn't, but you know, until you do something for yourself, you don't really learn what all goes into it and the time it takes, you know, just to do one wire. Like, you know, in these videos I speed it up and, you know, I do time lapses of me drilling holes and stuff, but it takes a while. And so I have a new respect for electricians. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Shop Build series. Today and the next few days are going to be fully focused on the electrical components in this space. All of our outlets, our GFCIs, our lights, our bathroom vent fans, everything. To first and foremost disclose that I am not a licensed electrician, and if you do not feel comfortable doing this type of work, please, for your own safety, consult a professional licensed electrician. With that being said, there's a few other safety elements that I'm incorporating into this video as just a way to give you extra protection. First, I have de-energized this panel, meaning I have completely turned off this breaker in the sub panel, as well as flipping the breaker on the disconnect. No power is coming in. Additionally, some safety elements. I'm going to be wearing some safety glasses as well, even though this thing is de-energized, right? Electricity is scary. You want to make sure you're taking every precaution out there you can. I've got insulated gloves. I've got insulated tools. From a safety perspective, I am good to go. Let's talk about what we're going to do in the process. I need to build a little panel right here that when my home runs come in and then they come into my box, I need to be able to staple these within code at least 12 inches from my box. It's a little messy. This was just temporary electrical stuff. I'm going to try to clean this up as much as possible, as well as this entire thing. I am never done this big of a project before from electrical. I am going to try to take my time and do this as clean and precise as I know how. Let's jump into removing this top bar here, because I need to take this out in order to get to my holes. This was temporary. The box is mounted to this 2x4 and to this 2x4. So let's get after it. So I've finished a few things already, and I want to show you that, and then I'm going to show you the actual process of putting in a circuit, as well as where to mount the boxes and stuff like that, and how long it actually takes. But let's look at what we've done so far. We have run one home run. We took out our header, took out the cripples, and we put that back plate in so that I had somewhere to staple to. That line on the board is 12 inches above, so I know that if I staple somewhere in between there, I'll be good. And we have also run all of our boxes. We've got all our staples in all the way around. We've got our common for our light ran all the way through here. We got our box mounted for our ceiling fan. And we come back this direction, and we've got all of our wires labeled. So we've got our power in, then we've got our outside light, our continued power out, and our fan common. The entire living room area is complete. That 12-3 wire is the purple wire. It's the communication wire so that you can turn this fan on and off from this location and from that location. That was a bear to get through there, I'm not gonna lie. We got our staples within a minimum of 4 foot. After I finish, I'll come back in and do fire rated caulking in my holes that go into my top plates. All right, so here's what we need to do next. I'm going to run a line that goes from there up this and over and down to this outlet right here. That's going to be our switch. And then from the switch back up to the actual light. So as you pull your wire out, if you unravel it beforehand, you won't have this mess of wire, and it will keep your wires more straight. Sometimes these things are hard to get through. And the easiest way is to pull it through kind of your first angle, give you some slack like this, and then pull it through the next angle. And again, you want to make sure you've got enough at the box. Enough at the box means that if I come down through my hole in the top plate and I loop around like this and I got about 4 or 5 inches that come out, that's going to be plenty when I go to actually connect it. I'd rather cut back off a little bit, a couple inches, than not have enough. That's your worst nightmare. And again, I got to make sure I leave enough slack to staple where I need to staple. I like to start at the box and work my way back to the, where the power is coming from. And the reason for that is that then you know that your staples are where they need to be and you've got enough slack where they need to be. So, like I said, I'll start from right here at the box. I'll go into the box with my wire right here, and I've got enough here that it comes out, 3-4 inches, enough for me to have play when I go to actually wire them up through my top plate, and I'll get my staples landed here. You got to staple within 4 to 6 inches of the box to be within code, and I always try to make sure my wire gets as center into the stud as possible, so that in the future, if you're going and you're mounting something on the exterior of the wall, you limit the risk to hit the wire. And again, on your runs, you have to have staples at least every 4 foot, but I'm doing that overkill, like I said earlier. I have a staple gun as well, but sometimes in these smaller crevices, it's difficult to, get the leverage you need on the staple gun, so I just do it this way. Now we are on our way back down to the box, and what I typically like to do here is I'll get enough wire out of the roll and grab my wire cutters as I'll come down, make sure I've got enough slack, for where I need to actually make my staples, and then cut maybe a little excess, and I'll work my way down to the box. Now I'll go into my box, land my staple 4 to 6 inches from my box. And the last thing I do is I take my pen and I label what this goes to on the wires. I've got my power in, I've got my power out, light switch. That's the first one. Now the second one, power to the actual light from the light switch box. I haven't placed it yet. It's not going to be in the center. I'm going to be installing shop lights in here. It's going to be just simple. Just one shop light. It's going to go right here. Because again, this is the utility closet. It's nothing special. So the only other thing I need to do here is just run the wire. I am just going to leave a little bit of excess like this and come down to the box. Because I had 2 wires here, I probably shouldn't have stapled the first wire first, because then I can just double up and staple one staple. Let's punch it out, go through our box. We're gonna label this. That's how long it takes to run 2 wires, not a long distance, and to install an outlet for the future, or a lighting circuit for the future. So we got a lot done last night, and I wanna show you that, and then I'm gonna walk you through what we're gonna work on today. So we're gonna be working on the bathroom. We're finishing up the bathroom. I actually got quite a bit done on the bathroom yesterday. So I was able to place my vanity lights, or my vanity outlets. And then I also have my home run that this whole circuit goes on, and it goes underneath the bridge. You can see it right there. It goes that way. Comes up over here. And then these are service loops for where there'll be puck lights through the drywall. Right there, and then that is a service loop for a light that will go on the outside. That is another service loop for that light that will go on the outside of the closet. Connection for our power to our continue power, going this way, and then up and over, just like this, and down to our first box, which is just going to be an additional outlet where the shelves will be. I might put some backlighting in these, I'm not sure yet. But then I mounted my washer outlet where I'll be able to plug in my washer. So today we're going to go from here to here, and then we're going to come over here to the switch. There are the 2 switches. Then we're going to go up and we have 4 puck lights in the ceiling of the bathroom. We've got one over the washer dry area, one in the shower, and then one above like the toilet area, and then one just kind of in this space here. And then we'll have a bathroom vent fan that'll go somewhere right in here and vent out that way. My goal is to try to finish the bathroom, which what I'm considering is zone B, or it's actually the second full circuit. I've already drilled my holes to go from here to my box. So I went at 60 inches. And the reason I went at 60 inches here was because this is the washer dryer area. And I know my inset for like where my pipes are gonna come to feed the hot and cold water for the washer itself are gonna be around, I think it's 50 inches or 48, somewhere in there. So it's gonna be, you know, right in here somewhere. And I wanted to go above it, you know, just to make sure that I wasn't going to get in the way of plumbing or, you know, or screwing or nailing in that insert. So I'm going up a little higher than I typically would, but I'm going to carry it here and then come down to my 48 inches at my box. All right, we got our service loop there for our puck light in the shower. We got our service loop here for the puck light above the washer dryer. Can you guys tell how much I'm sweating? The gleam, it's so hot. All right, we labor the wire. That's our last step. So this is gonna be power out lights. We got one more to run in the bathroom. Zone B will be done. That's the entire zone 2, or the bathroom, complete. We got our power out. We already had our power in, right? Power out comes up here, goes over here, and down into this box, which is now our power in. And then we got our power out lights and our power out fan. So they come up here and they go through the top plate and then over. I got my service loop for my first puck, service loop for my second puck, over to the vanity light, service loop. And then I've got a service loop for my box fan, or my vent fan, which will go out and vent out right through there. Outside of me dripping in sweat, things are progressing well. Onto the kitchen. All right, we're moving on to the kitchen, and we've got our boxes set at where we'd like them. So I just wanted to show you a quick jig I made. So what I've got here is 18 inches marked, as well as this is cut to 24 inches. So I just come up to the stud that, you know, I need to pull wire through. And in this case, I'm just marking my 24s. And the reason for that is because I don't need to mark boxes on this one, right? So I'm gonna be coming down from this box here to carry power this way. And all I'm doing on these studs is just marking 24. So when I put my drill in here and go to drill, I will keep a straight and consistent line over to my box. And I'm gonna mark them on all the ones that I need to drill through in order to get to my next box. And it's easy as that. See, that was quick and simple instead of just pulling out a tape every single stud. Little jigs like this can really save you a lot of time. So when you get into really tight spaces like this, it helps to have a right angle drill, or in this case, I'm just using a right angle drill attachment with my drill bit. And you can typically get into really small spaces that you wouldn't typically be able to because of, you know, the drill length. So I really like one of these guys. It's really. Fell. What? We are finished with the kitchen, mostly. We've got the main circuit ran. I still need to run the dedicated outlets for the fridge and the microwave. But I wanted to show you real quick. We are about to go upstairs for the first time, and that is going to be our chandelier, our pendant light. That's going to hang in this space right above me here. We're coming from this switch box because this is where the switch is going to be. And we are going up this and through the top plate there, over and through that hole right there into the bottom plate of the top wall, straight up, and then there's a hole right behind that tube, and I'm going to come up and then on top of the wall and over on this rafter somewhere and leave a service loop like right here. It's a lot of wire, so we've rolled it out to where we've got it mostly straight. But I wanted to also show you the kitchen main circuit and what we've gotten done on that. So we did our home run all the way down here, up, over, and down. We've got our first outlet, which is going to be GFCI'd. We've got our power in, power out. Then we've got our next outlet. This is counter level height right here, and then this is about 6 inches above. So I had to lay all that out, right? Because I needed to know where to place my top boxes. So then I've got my power in, power out. So we got power in, power out. That's going to be the disposal there. Then we come up to a light switch here, which is going to be another light that goes up right here and over for the above sink light. And then we continue on, power in, power out for another counter height outlet. Then we come around the corner, counter height outlet. We come over here, counter height outlet. So that is this section. And then we went up here and around and through and down here to this outlet, which is just another kitchen outlet. Power in, power out. We carry our power over to the light box here, the switch box. That is going to power the 4 lights that are going to be in the ceiling. And it's pretty much just repeat the process, right? I didn't want to make this video, 45 minutes of me just pulling wire. So I wanted to keep it short and sweet, show you how to do a few things, but then also try to give you an overview of what we've done as we go. We are about to enter upstairs for the first time. And currently the outside temperature is at like 80 something degrees, maybe like 82, 84, somewhere in there. Inside the shop, first floor, is at even 90, 91 degrees. And then when you go up 9 feet, it's actually a cooler day because it's overcast and it rained earlier, so some of the humidity has left. But it has gotten up to 130 degrees up here. But currently it is right at 100. It's hot up here. We're not going to do the upstairs tonight, but we are going to pull this one wire. All right, so there's one more thing I want to discuss real quick. I am putting a GFCI right here. See, I've labeled it. What this GFCI will do will protect every outlet downstream of its power. So on the circuit, this is the first outlet. That means every single other outlet is protected by this GFCI. A GFCI stands for Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. And what that does, it's a fast acting way for, instead of a fault, if a fault was to occur, meaning there was wire touching, bare wire or metal, or if water got into the outlet somehow, it would come back to here and trip the GFCI versus coming all the way back to the panel and potentially harming the panel. Even though there is the breaker that would throw, this is additional safety measurements, right? So this GFCI can detect that ground fault, and I think it's a 40th of a second can throw the load on here. But the other thing to remember is the general rule of thumb on the number of outlets and the number of switches you can have on one circuit. For a 15 amp and a 14.2 gauge wire, you will typically have a general rule of thumb of 8 outlets and 2 switches. And it's based off of the amount of load or amount of amperage that entire circuit can carry. So in this case, I am running 12-2 wire through my entire building, and I'm also running 20 amp breakers. So I can go a little bit more than that, typically 10 to 12, total boxes, meaning a combination of outlets and switches, and I would still be, within code, and I would be safe. Just understanding, your loads on each circuit and the rating that you are putting for your wire and for your breakers is, really good step to understand. So I hope that helps. And now we are about to start on the second floor electrical. there's pretty much 2 circuits up here, one for kind of each side or each room. And then there's an additional dedicated outlet, which is for the fire alarms, which comes kind of from downstairs. So I've gotten some stuff prepped already. You saw me kind of run the line for the common switch for the light at the top of the stairs. I also pulled the stair power light, so that goes down under the stairs and then over here. And that's where I'm gonna have a pendant here, or a sconce here, and a sconce there, you know, for the stairs. So we don't have a lot left on electrical, and I'm feeling really good about it. I'm thinking that maybe 1 or 2 days left and we'll knock this guy out. Here's the best part about all of this. We're getting like a cold front. It is 75 degrees outside. Well, 72 degrees. Feels like 72. That's the most important part. And right now, currently, upstairs, it says 70, 75? I'll take it. Let's go. Totally OSHA approved. So we just got done running our dedicated circuit for our fire and smoke combo alarms. It had to go from the box, and then we put one underneath over there, ran this way under the stairs, up here, over, one for the inside here, and then over, one for the outside of the shop, up, over, one for right here in this room, and then over and down for that room. So now we are going to be officially moving on to the upstairs. That checks off the first floor. All of the outlets, all the switches, all the circuits, all the dedicated circuits, they're all done. All we have left until we are officially done with electrical rough-in, and I cannot be more excited. We've got 2 circuits left. We got to run this circuit that powers this space here, and then this circuit that powers this space here. Whew. That was a full day's worth of work right there. We're gonna call it, but I want to show you what we got done so far. Sorry for the shadows. We got a lot done, actually, like a lot. So we finished up almost this entire side. There we go, that's pretty good light. This entire side of electrical. We've got one more run, and that goes from that switch box right there, and it's the common. It goes down, over, under the bridge, and then up to that light switch, because the switch in that space and the switch out here is going to be able to control the lights right here. That's all that's left on this side of the second floor. But as you can see, we've got all of our boxes mounted as well as all of our wire pulled. This is our light switch for the closet lights. And then this is where the power comes in from the box as well as goes out to this rest of the circuit, and then the closet lights and the loft lights power, which the loft lights power goes from there to here. Had to go up over these doors, you know, because can't go through doors, guys. Come over here to this box and then come back in our little alcove down to that box over here to where there's probably going to be a desk or something. Oh yeah, we also got our runs for our lights. So a light here. There will be a light here and a fire alarm. Still haven't decided. I might move that light from this cavity to this cavity. Still not 100% sure. And then there will be another light right here at the top of the landing. We will see you tomorrow for some more electrical, but hopefully, I mean, there's a chance it could be the last day. Guys, I'm so close to being done with electrical. I'm on the last circuit right now. And I've got the home run after that, but I'm so done with this. I'm so ready to be done with electrical. We have one wire left, and we are done with rough-in electrical. But all the green highlights, that means it's done. So I guess technically I have two because I have to run the lights and then the home run. But I'm just kind of thinking of it as one, just for my psyche. So it's another hot one up here. Currently it says it's 100 degrees. It's only 70 something degrees outside, which feels amazing outside. So I've got all the windows open, fan blowing in the air, but it's still warm. But luckily I was able to get a lot of it done last night, which it was like 64 degrees and it felt amazing. Let's get after it today, get this electrical rough-in buttoned up, and then we'll move over to the panel. So I'm having to use my right angle here because this is 12 inches on center and this bit is 6 inches and the drill length here is roughly 8 inches or so. So it's just a hair too long. These are the last, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes that I have to drill with the right angle bit, and we are done with rough-in electrical. Home stretch, baby. Let's get it. Last one. Last hole of rough-in electrical. Let's go. Oh. Smooth as butter. All right, you guys, I am landing my last wire for rough-in. All in all, this wasn't difficult per se. It just is a lot. Like, it's a lot to think through and make sure you've got, all your runs correctly and all your outlets, and make sure you got your dedicated circuits where they need to be. And it truly was just like more than I kind of thought that it would be from a labor perspective. So shout out to all the electricians that do this every day, and you work in these ridiculously hot environments. You guys earn your money, that's for sure. I respect the heck out of you a lot more than not that I didn't, but until you do something for yourself, you don't really learn what all goes into it and the time it takes, just to do one wire. Like, in these videos I speed it up and, I do time lapses of me drilling holes and stuff, but it takes a while. And so I have a new respect for electricians because, this stuff is tedious. It's fun. I do enjoy it because I like the tediness of it. But yeah, it's tedious, it's time consuming, and there's a special skill to it, that's for sure. I just feel like as I've just been doing these runs and setting up everything and laying it out, like each room gets a little better, right? So will I be doing this again? Probably not, at least to this scale. But it was a good learning experience, and ultimately I saved a lot of money by doing it myself. So if you're contemplating doing this, my advice is you can do it. Just expect it to be more work than you were thinking it was going to be, and just take your time, get a good layout. Layout's key in everything. So yeah, now we're gonna switch over, and we're not gonna do any trim outs yet, obviously, that's after drywall, but we're gonna switch over to the panel and start to, you know, getting all that lined out like it should. So yeah, let's get after it. Okay, we're gonna start on the panel right now. Are you ready? Let's go. I want to indicate the very first thing that you have to do is make sure your power is off. I've already turned mine off, and I'm gonna prove that. I'm getting my voltage detector here, and there is no amperage running anywhere in this box. So I can touch all of this safely. But I want to stop and say this just as one more iteration. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, please just hire an electrician. This is meant to be able to teach people how things work. And if you feel comfortable in doing it, then go for it. But if not, then hire a licensed professional. And you won't regret it, I promise, because all the stress will be gone from you. The first thing we're gonna do before we touch any wire, right, is I've done a circuit count. And I've laid out my actual panel here on this piece of paper. I've indicated where each breaker is gonna land, as well as the amperage of those breakers, and then labeled them. Also, I've got all my tools laid out, everything I'm gonna need to work inside the panel, and my layout there, as well as my wire strippers. Additionally, I thought, you know, easiest way to do this would be to lay out exactly how it's gonna be in there. So up here is going to be the 100 amp that's already in the panel. Right here is the 20 amp for the well pump that's already in the panel. This is how it's going to lay out. These are going to be my Romex connectors. I'm going to have 3/4 inch openings for my 8.2 and my two 10.3s. And then I'm going to put two 12.2 Romex through one of these and one through the other, and then double up all of these. I've got 6 circuits on each side, 7 if you count the existing ones. And so I feel pretty good. I've laid it out. I pulled the wires to the sides of which, you know, panel they're gonna, or the box that they're gonna run to. So the first step after I deplete the power, right, de-energize this, is I'm gonna do my knockouts. Before I pull any Romex into the box, I'm gonna do my knockouts, and then I'm just gonna go run by run. Yeah, it's my first time ever doing this, so I'm hoping that if I just take my time and do it slow, I can make it look neat. I also need to clean these up. I'm gonna move this 100 amp to this side and kind of shorten some of this wire in here. I don't need all this. Again, this was all temporary, and I'm gonna pull the well pump down some so that that can be shorter and have cleaner access to my ground bar. Let's get after it, folks. All right, I've got the panel cleaned up a little bit. I've got the sub panel for the shop moved over to this side here. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just start entering my Romex through all of my Romex connectors, and then start sleeving the jacket off, or taking the jacket off, or taking the sleeve off, whatever you prefer. I like sleeving the jacket. Sounds pretty good. So it might look a little messy right now, but I'm going to try to clean it up as much as I can. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking off the jacket, and I'm separating out the grounds and the neutrals and the power, right? So this guy here, what I'm also doing is I'm putting the sleeves back on them and labeling them so I know which is what. So that guy right there is the mini split, so it's a double pull. And then I'm taking these two and pulling them together, and these two and pulling them together. All right, so we got one side completely done. I don't think it looks too bad. The grounds are all back there, and then they come over this way. I could clean this up a little bit, but honestly, I'm pleased with the way it looks. For my first time ever doing it, yeah, I like it. So that's one side done. Here's the right side. Again, I think it looks pretty good. It could have been a little bit more neat, but I feel pretty good about it. Okay guys, this is gonna wrap our entire electrical video. And here's the best part. This entire electrical system passed inspection. Rough-in inspection, but shoot, yeah, I'm so stinking excited. So here's one final look at the finished panel, and then we're gonna button this sucker up and we're gonna be done. We thank you so much for watching. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Shoot, if you wanna leave a comment, I'm gonna do my very best to answer it educationally. I don't know everything about electric, but the best part about YouTube, in my opinion, is that it's a place to learn. Just remember to tell somebody you love them. There are so many people in your life and you can't do life alone. So tell somebody thank you, and we'll see you on the next one. We love you. Peace.